like to open up our long-range capital planning utilization committee. I love our new title. And we should probably start with attendance if we could.
Already got it.
We're all set with that?
Set for attendance.
Okay.
Waiting for the minutes.
All right.
And I was acting clerk for last, so I'll have some sheet.
Okay. So we have minutes distributed from the last meeting. Motion by Pearl to move to accept any, is there a second? Any,
I'll second.
okay. Any corrections, omissions, anything else necessary? Seeing none, if you're in favor of acceptance of the minutes of January 26, 2024, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, one abstention,
2 abstentions.
2. All right, let's move into new business. LRCP 24, number 6, Department of Health and Human Services, request approval for a 10-year lease with the Northampton Boys 3 LLC for continued occupation of approximately 15,871 square feet of office space located at 109 Key Road in Keene for the department's Keene District Office, effective April 1st, 2024, end date March 31st, 2034, for a lease cost of $3,564,000, subject to the conditions as specified in the request, dated March 12th, 2024. And presenting, please, welcome to Public Works.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and committee. My name is Tammy Nelson. I'm the Director of Facilities for the Department of Health and Human Services. I'm seeking authorization to enter into a 10-year lease with Northampton Boys 3 LLC, which is the current landlord, for continued occupancy of 109 Key Road in Keene. This lease or location provides for our Keene District Office serving clients in Cheshire County. The location has served the department well, operationally for staff, providing a secure and efficient floor plan, and for the clients we serve. The facility is well maintained, easily accessible, fully ADA compliant, and provides ample parking. As outlined in our request, we were able to negotiate a favorable rate structure. The current square foot rate is $22. The rate is going to remain flat for years 1 through 5 of the new term, with a 4.12% increase in year 6. The new square foot rate of $22.91 will be in place for years 6 through 10 for the total of $3,564,000. The square foot rate includes all utilities, heating, fuel, electricity, water, sewer, insurance, taxes, all site maintenance, all building repairs, and janitorial services. This lease mirrors the department's practices in terms of duration and full gross structure. Your consideration is greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Questions? I'm not familiar with the building that you have been in and will continue to occupy. Are you the only tenant in that building?
It is a multi-tenant building, single level, so there are other tenants. I don't believe there are any other state tenants in that location.
Okay. Any further questions? Yes, Senator Pearl.
Good morning, thanks for coming.
Good morning.
How long have you been in this building prior to this?
We have been in this building since 2013, which was a result of an RFP process.
And no issues with the LLC or other tenants?
No.
Thank you.
Representative Mills.
Thank you. Thank you for taking my question. I pardon my ignorance on the total DHHS, but are all these other bureaus that are in there subsidiaries of DHHS? For instance, Bureau of Elderly and Adult Services, Division for Children, Youth and Family Services.
Those are actually programs within the Department of Health and Human Services.
Okay, so there wouldn't be any reason to go back to those departments looking to subsidize any of this rental.
No.
Thank you.
Further questions? Yep. Motion made by Pearl, seconded by Mills, to approve item number 006, Department of Health and Human Services. Any further discussion? Seeing none, if you're in favor of the motion for the acceptance of item number 6, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Thank you.
Thank you
Motion
very
carries.
much.
Could you I was looking through the packet, could someone just pull together a little snapshot of the building and possibly how many tenants are occupying it, total square footage? Not now, but ahead of our next meeting. Okay. Okay. If you just send along an outline of the building, a snapshot, I'd be happy. Thank you. I'll find it on a trip someday. Okay, I'd like to move on to item number 2, which is LRCP 24, item number 9, Department of Transportation, authorization to sell 1.04 acres of state-owned land located at the corner of, I think it's Smith Road and Radburn Street, City of Manchester, directly to Torrington Properties for $83,100, which includes a $1,100 administrative fee, subject to the conditions as specified in the request dated March 14th, 2024. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, my name is Steve Labonte. I'm the administrator of the Bureau of Right-of-Way with the New Hampshire Department of Transportation. As you just said, the department requests authorization to sell 1.04 plus or minus acres of state-owned land located at the corner of Smith Road and Radburn Street in the city of Manchester to Torrington Properties for the price of $83,100, which includes the $1,100 administrative fee. The parcel was acquired in 1974 for the construction and relocation of New Hampshire Route 28A, also known as Mammoth Road, for the Manchester Hooksett I-93 project from Beatrice and W.R. Jim Rose for the sum of $3,000 via warranty deed. The parcel will be, as conditions of the sale, the buyer must commission a licensed land surveyor in the state of New Hampshire to prepare a boundary line survey which will be recorded in the Hillsborough County Registry of Deeds, and a copy of which will also be provided to the department. The buyer shall be responsible for all local and state land use approvals. Buyer will be made fully aware of all Federal Aviation Administration reporting requirements for any future construction due to the site's proximity to Manchester Boston Regional Airport, and a staff appraiser from the department has determined that as of January 11th, 2024, the value of the property is $82,000. The department will solicit interest from the city of Manchester in New Hampshire Housing Finance Authority prior to closing. I can answer any questions.
Thank you. Questions, Mr. Lamonte? Yes, Senator Pearl.
Thank you for coming in this morning. Just looking at the map here, and it looks like Radburn Street, I guess it is, and Smith Road, that intersection, it's kind of at an obscure angle. Is there any concern that down the road, the state may have an interest in fixing that corner a bit? I'm just curious, we're selling the property, we'll kind of lose that option to do so.
What I can say is that when this request came in, it was run through our Bureau of Highway Design and also our local District 5, the maintenance district. Both the engineers weighed in from those two bureaus, and they didn't have any concerns with the disposal of the property,
Thank you.
which is our typical practice.
Great.
Thank you. Further question? Seeing none, do we have a motion on item 09?
I'll second that, to approve item 24-009.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay, all right.
Any discussion amongst the members? Seeing none, if you're in favor of approving item 009, Department of Transportation authorizing selling 1.02 acres of land, City of Manchester, directly to Torrington Properties, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
If you're opposed, nay. Seeing none, motion carries unanimously. Salante, would you like to move on to item 013, Department of Transportation, authorized to grant access point through the limited access right-of-way on the southerly side of New Hampshire Route 1111 at Fry Road in the town of Danville to the town of Danville for the sale price of $53,500, which includes the $1,100 administrative fee, subject to the conditions as specified in the request dated March 20th, 2024. If you would, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The limited access right-of-way was created, was laid out in with the layout of New Hampshire Route 111 through by the Hampstead, Danville, Kingston project in 1968 upon completion. So just a little background for the committee. When the department goes through and conducts a project involving limited access right-of-way, when they go through and acquire all the property rights, one of the property rights the property owner is compensated for is the right of access. So they no longer have any access rights to the new road, which in this case was New Hampshire 111. So in this case, this project had been going on for probably, or it's kind of been in the works with the town also involved for probably more than 15 years. There was some interest in doing it like around 2010, 2011, but the developer lost funding at that point. They were working with the town. Again, just more recently, they have a new developer. So the project, as I just mentioned, the Danville-Kingston project, involved the completion of New Hampshire Route 11, Huntington Hill Road, and then bisected Huntington Hill Road and created Fry Road to the south of Route 111. However, there was no access, so it's not like there was an intersection of Fry Road and New Hampshire Route 11. There will be an access point. So that's basically what they're creating now by doing this project. And this will actually allow development to one of the abutting parcels.
Okay, if I could. So if I understood, and correct me if I'm wrong, so this property originally was part of a limited access highway. The rights were paid for by the state, in essence, to remove access, compensate them for not having more than whatever access point. The calendar moves forward, and now they need access onto the is it still limited access highway where we're going on to?
Correct. As it stands today, it is Route 111 through that area is a limited access right of way. If we grant them this break in that limited access, this will allow the development of an intersection at that point, which will allow further development of an abutting parcel.
Yeah, and I fully understand. It's somewhat unusual, but I agree with the premise. So if this is agreed to, and the purchase price with the appraisal is agreed to, then DOT then will grant access onto that section of road.
That is correct.
All right, thank you. Further questions? Seeing none. If you're in, do we have a motion to accept this?
Mr. Chair, I move we accept item 24-013.
Second that.
Okay, motion made by Cloutier, seconded by Mills. Any further discussion? If you're in favor of acceptance of item number 013, Department of Transportation, $53,500 plus appraisal administration fees, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries unanimously. Okay. We'll move to item number 14, Department of Transportation. Authorization to sell 4.7 acres of state-owned land located in the southerly side of New Hampshire Route 302 Eastman Road in the town of Conway, directly to the abutter, Bayard Kennett, for $941,100, which includes the $1,100 administrative fee, subject conditions specified in the request dated March 21st, 2024. And if you would, Mr. Lamonte, take us through.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The original parcel, which was 6.28 acres, was acquired in 1999 through condemnation from Francis Stearns Kennett Revocable Trust. At the time of the acquisition, the department, as I just said, had acquired the 6.28 acres for $2,289,000 prior to for an out-of-court settlement. That's what the final price was. The department is retaining 1.5 acres of for a detention pond, which will serve New Hampshire Route, I think it's U.S. Route 302 in that area. So we will then be conveying back 4.7 acres. As a conditions of this sale, the land surveyor, buyer will have to have a land surveyor prepare a perimeter boundary line survey, which will be recorded in the Carroll County Registry of Deeds. Buyer will be responsible for all local and state land use approvals before closing, and the staff appraiser from the department looked at the parcel to be conveyed and determined as of February 5th, 2024, it had a value of $940,000.
I have the same problems.
Yeah.
So, thank you. Questions? I have a question. The 1+ acres that's being retained for the detention pond at 302, will that be for the sole purpose of that, or will this parcel also be able to access that drainage?
I'm not sure what the developer's plans are right now. They would typically have to come to us if they have an interest. That's not included as a condition of this sale. And we're keeping that in fee. That's not just a drainage easement.
Okay. Thank you. Any further questions? Just for the committees, this is adjacent to a very large project that's it's going to be going on for several years, and it's important to the area also. So, do we have a motion for item number 14?
Move to approve.
Moved by Mills, seconded by Pearl. Any discussion on the motion? Motion is to accept authorization to sell 4.7 acres, southerly side of 302, town of Conway, for $941,100. If you're in favor of that motion, you signify by saying aye.
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 And opposed, nay. The motion carries unanimously. And we will move to item number 15, Department of Transportation, authorization to sell 6 parcels comprising approximately 7.2 acres of state-owned land on New Hampshire Route 16 and US Route 302 in the town of Conway, directly to the New Hampshire Housing Finance Authority for $1,511,100, which includes the administration fee of $1,100, subject to the conditions request dated March 21st, 2024. And if you would, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This parcel sits directly north of the Memorial Hospital in the town of Conway. It originally was comprised of 6 parcels. It's now down, for tax purposes, been reduced down to 6 to 4 parcels. The 6 parcels was originally acquired between the years of 1997 and 2006 for the Conway bypass for a total of $852,200. This property will be conveyed with the following conditions. The buyer will be required to have a licensed land surveyor survey the property and create a boundary line survey. Buyer will be responsible for all local and state land use approvals. They'll be accepted and reserved from this conveyance a 30-foot access point to which will serve one of the an access easement, because just of the shape of the parcel, it has this long sliver that goes along Route 16, which will be for the use of the hospital, and it'll be accepting and reserving all current slope and drainage easements, and there are 2 also current utility easements will be accepted and reserved. The staff appraiser from the department evaluated the property, and as of September 12th, 2023, it was determined to be $1,510,000 was the value. The property has already been offered to the town, and it is being bought by the New Hampshire Housing Finance. It is being purchased by the New Hampshire Housing Finance Authority, has already been offered to the town, and they are on board with the project. I believe it's going to be used for, the idea here, the intent is that it'll be used for workforce housing.
Thank you. Questions? So I'm assuming that, if I could, sir, that the money that's raised here, the $1.5 million, is being given back to the feds as part of the monies that we owe them for this property.
It has, my understanding, it has already been given back to the feds, and this will be used to backfill that void that was left.
Thank you. Yes, Mike. Okay. Motion by Edgar to accept item number 15. Is there a second?
Second it.
Did you have questions? Okay. So the motion is to authorize item number 15, Town of Conway, New Hampshire Housing Finance Authority, $1,511,100, subject to the conditions specified in March 21st, 2024. If you're in favor of that motion, you signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Next item, item 24007, Department of Administrative Services, authorized to enter the use of premise agreement with the County of Coos, West Stewartstown, for leasing of state-owned property located at Coos County Superior Courthouse, located at 55 School Street, Lancaster, New Hampshire, from June 1st, 2024 to May 31st, 2027, for the amount not to exceed $205,392, subject to the conditions as specified in the request dated February 28th, 2024. Welcome.
Good morning. My name is Sarah Lineberry, and I'm the superintendent of the Bureau of Court Facilities. Thank you, Chairman and Committee. We are here today as per our letter of request to seek approval to lease space at the Coos County Courthouse to the county for the County Attorney's Office, Registry of Deeds, and the Sheriff's Office. The court does not need the space, and the rental income covers operating expenses Also, the adjacency is beneficial to daily court business. I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Questions, Ma'am Lamberry? Seeing none. Motion by Senator Pearl to approve item 007, Department of Administrative Services. Seconded by Mills, for the amount not to exceed $205,392. Conditions specified in the request dated February 28, 24. If you're in favor of that motion, you signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
We will now proceed to item number 16, Department of Administrative Service authorized to retroactively enter in a use of premises agreement, Town of Jaffrey, 10 Goodnow Street, Jaffrey, for leasing estate owned property located Jaffrey Circuit Courthouse, 84 Peterborough Street, Jaffrey, from November 1 of 2023 to October 31, 2026, for the amount not to exceed $12,852, subject to conditions specified in the request, dated March 11, 2024. Please.
Again, we are seeking to approve the retroactive lease at the Jaffrey Circuit Court, and this is to the Town of Jaffrey for the space for the prosecutor. The court does not need the space. The rental income covers our operating expenses, and the adjacency for all entities is beneficial in the courthouse.
Thank you. Questions for the madam? Seeing none, do I have a motion?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I move that we approve, it should be retroactively, I don't know if that matters in the motion, item 24-016.
Thank you. Motion made by Cloutier, seconded by Senator Pearl. Any further discussion? Seeing none. If you're in favor of the motion, you'll signify this is item number 16 for the amount of $12,852. You'll signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much.
We will disposal of real estate, LRCP, keep trying to say the Lakes Region Planning Commission, apologize. Item 24011, Department of Transportation, authorization to lease approximately 0.64 acres consisting of portions of 3 contiguous parcels, state-owned Cheshire Branch Railroad Corridor, Town of Swansea, for all-purpose storage for $900 per year with a one-time administrative fee of $1,100, of which the department is in receipt of $500 for a period of 5 years with an option for an additional 5 years at $900 per year, subject to the conditions specified in the request dated March 11, 2024. Welcome. Please continue.
Good morning, Chairman McConkey, Senator Pearl, Representatives Edgar, Miltz, and Cloutier. My name is Louis Barker. I am the railroad planner for the Department of Transportation's Bureau of Rail and Transit. I speak to you about a proposed lease on the long abandoned Cheshire Branch Railroad Corridor to all-purpose storage. There's property that they're going to use for basically storage. They were view shed, maintenance, a fence, all in cooperation with the town of Swansea to make a commercial site attractive and avail parking for trail users on the current rail trail. Any questions? I'll be glad to answer.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Barker? Seeing none, do I have a motion on item 011?
move to approve, sir.
Motion by Mills, seconded by,
I'll
second by
second.
Edgar. So if you're in favor of the motion to authorize item number 011, which is leasing of property at the price as shown, and request, of the request that was dated March 11th, 2024, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Item number 12, Department of Transportation authorized to sell approximately 18,900 square feet or 0.43 acres on state-owned Berlin Branch Railroad Corridor in the town of Littleton to Rail Trail Properties LLC as an abutter for $11,400 and $1,100 administrative fee, for which the department is in receipt of $500, subject to the conditions as specified in the request dated March 18, 2024. Mr. Barker, please.
This proposed sale is for a strip of land adjacent to a former factory building that has been repurposed as a residential community. The former factory was built right on the property line because railroad cars were actually brought up right there to a loading dock that is long gone. The town of Littleton needs the access for emergency vehicles, so the developer came to us and requested to purchase this strip of land, and we feel it's an appropriate use of the land. We do not want to manage it as a lease, so this is why we propose a sale.
Are there questions, Mr. Barker? Yes, please, Senator Pearl.
Thank you. Thanks for coming in today. Was this formerly just like a rail siding for that service that?
Yes, there was a siding there at one time,
Tracks are removed and,
long ago, unfortunately, yes.
thank you.
All right, any further questions? Do I have a motion to authorize item 012, Department of Transportation, moved by Senator Pearl, second by Mills. So the motion is to authorize sell approximately 18,900 square feet, 0.43 acres of state-owned Berlin Branch Corridor, town of Littleton, to the Rail Trail Properties for a price of $11,400 plus administrative fees, subject to the request dated March 18, 2024. If you're in favor of that motion, you'll signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. We will move on to item number 010, Department of Transportation. Request approval to enter a one-year lease for Sun Lake Village Association for 375 linear feet of railroad frontage along Lake Winnisquam to allow private non-commercial dock, and including a pedestrian at-grade crossing on the state-owned Concord to Lincoln Railroad Corridor in the town of Belmont for the proposed lease of $13,113.75 per year, plus a $50 annual fee for the private pedestrian at-grade crossing for a total of $13,163.75 plus $1,100 administrative fee, subject to the conditions as specified in the request dated March 6, 2024. And if you would, Mr. Barker.
Yes, the state has been approached by the representatives of the Sun Lake Village Association requesting waterfront access. They qualify on the basis of that subdivision and development was commenced at least 20 years ago. I have a time frame of between 2001 and 2004 in my notes. This is advantageous to us because multiple houses qualify, and we're going to restrict them to one crossing, which minimizes the safety concerns we have with any crossings.
All right. Yes, excuse me, Senator Pearl. I tried to bring you back to the House there for a moment.
Some days I wouldn't mind that.
Please continue.
So this is a one-year lease.
Yes, the statute requires us to update the annual fee every 5 years, and this is at the end of that 5-year period. So we feel it's best to go with a one-year lease and negotiate calculate the new rate based on the consumer price index. So we'll be back with these people with a new lease with a higher price because the CPI is not looking like it's going down anytime soon.
Okay, thank you. That answered my second question.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Further questions? Mr. Barker? Seeing none, do we have a motion for the approval of item number 010?
Mr. Chair, I move approval of item 24-010.
All right, thank you. Motion made by Cloutier, seconded by Mills. Is there any discussion? If you're in favor of the motion to request the approval of item 24010, Department of Transportation, allow private non-commercial dock, including a pedestrian at grade crossing of state-owned Concord Lincoln Railroad, town of Belmont, for a proposed lease per year of $13,113.75 plus a $50 annual fee for private pedestrian at grade crossing. Under the conditions specified, the request dated March 6, 2024. You'll signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No opposed. Motion carries unanimously. I believe that is our business. We have in your packet informational from Department of Resources and Development, minutes. I would like to schedule our next meeting for June 10th for 10 o'clock for this long-range capital planning utilization committee. Is there any other business that needs to be discussed at this time? I want to thank you all for your attendance.
Do we need a
Motion to adjourn?
motion to adjourn?
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor of adjourn, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you.